Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel, and thanks for taking a little bit of time out of your day to watch the video. It's always appreciated. Today I'm going to give you guys some good information, some good juice on one of the top ways to retrieve a crankbait during the pre-spawn period. Specifically during the pre-spawn, there's one technique that I'm going to share with you guys, sort of an Ozark secret here a little bit, that's definitely going to help you catch a lot more fish over the next 3 to 4 weeks, something like that. Real quick, just wanted to give everybody the latest update reminder as far as if you guys are interested in ordering any of the Block and Old School jigs. We got everything up and running good now at Baitworks. I'll include the link in the description, and you guys can order them straight through there. They also got a rack of them there at the store if you're in Springfield, but it's just using that link is just a great way to help support the channel here if you're interested in doing that and like some of the info I put out. Okay guys, let's talk about this secret. I call it like the secret Ozark crankbait retrieve. First of all, let's talk a little bit about pre-spawn, the mood of pre-spawn bass a little bit. I love fishing in the pre-spawn, and I love throwing a crankbait in the pre-spawn because, in my opinion, there's not a better time of year to catch quality fish than when that water temperature is in anywhere between the upper 40s to the upper 50s. You got about a 10-degree window there, which I call the pre-spawn, and that's going on right now. A lot of places around the country, if it's not going on now, it's getting ready to start here in a few weeks. You know, a lot of the parts of the country, we're getting some warming days and everything, so you're going to have the fish moving into a hardcore pre-spawn pattern. And what happens is these fish, a lot of these quality fish, these 3 to 4 or 5 pound and up fish, all of these fish that were out chasing shad and chasing herring, you know, in the late winter period, those good ones are starting to move to the bank, and they're starting to use the bottom more once they move to the bank. And they're not necessarily shallow on the bank, but they're in that, you know, 4 to 8 foot zone, which is perfect for cranking, the way that I'm going to talk about the retrieve here a little bit. So that is why you catch so many good ones in the pre-spawn, and that's why most of the biggest bass taken on a lake in the pre-spawn, or most of the biggest bass taken on any lake throughout the course of the year, come during the pre-spawn. So anyway, what I'm talking about here, it's a technique specifically designed for a medium running type crankbait. It could be something like around here, it's a rock crawler or a wiggle wart, or it could be a Megabass Deepex 200. It could be a Strike King Series 3 or Series 5. It could be a Bandit 300. Some type of a crankbait that gets down into that 4 to 8 foot zone. And specifically shad patterns. Now you can catch them on different colors, but you know, this is the best time of year to use some type of a crawdad pattern crankbait, usually in some type of a green, a brown with orange and red, just your typical crawfish patterns. And what you want to do with this retrieve, guys, and this is the key, and crankbait retrieves, I think a lot of times they don't get enough attention, because the retrieve on a crankbait is a tremendous it plays a tremendous role in generating a strike. I mean, it plays probably a bigger role than the color. And in the pre-spawn, there's one retrieve that works by far better than other, and that's what I call the medium stop and pull retrieve. And what this is I like to get on those, you know, any type of gradual sloping bank, 45-degree angle or less, something like that. I make a long cast parallel to the bank. This is a technique you want to fish parallel. You know, if I think the fish are in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 foot of water, I stay in that zone and fish parallel down the bank, and I'll throw the bait out there. I reel it down fairly quick to get it hit the bottom, and once it hits the bottom, I slowly start reeling it, and then I take my rod tip and I pull it like that. And as I'm pulling it, I want the bait to be making contact and hitting the bottom. And once I pull it like that, I let up on it, the bait's gonna float up just a second, and then I start cranking for maybe 2 or 3 cranks, not very far, and then I start pulling again like that. And the pull on this, when you pull a crankbait, when it's down at its maximum depth, it gets an action on the bait different than if you're just reeling on there. There's something about the subtle difference as far as the way that bait makes bottom contact when you're pulling it versus when you're reeling it that will trigger the fish in pre-spawn like not any other retrieve out there. Now, the speed of retrieve, you want some type of a medium retrieve. Not too slow, not too fast. You know, the water's still pretty cool, so you don't want to use a super fast retrieve, but it's still not cold enough where you have to crawl it. So I like some type of a medium retrieve, pulling it. And a lot of times I'll crank it a couple times, stop it, crank it a couple times and stop it, and then pull it like that. It's not really a straight stop and go, but it's the stop and pull that will generate the strike a little bit. This is something that was developed, I think, a lot by the old Ozark wigglewort guys. They figured this technique out years ago on some of the Ozark lakes, and I've been able to use it all over the country. It just works really good with that. One of the keys on it, though, for it to work, guys, is you want your crankbait to be super slow floating or even suspended. So if you've got a crankbait that's fairly buoyant, like some type of a plastic bait, get you some suspend dots or some suspend strips, put it on there to where the bait barely rises or just suspends, because you can't, when you're pulling it on the bottom like that and you stop, you don't want that bait to rise up like that. You want it to stay low, but you know, either suspend or just barely come up like that. That's another big key on there. Most of the time I like to use it on a spinning rod. I'll crank a lot of those medium zone running crankbaits on a spinning rod with the 8 to 10 pound test line. And the reason I do that is you can make a longer cast with it, which you can get the bait deeper. You can cast better in the wind, especially if you're casting those crankbaits that don't cast very good in the wind, that sort of sail like potato chips. And then I think that you have a better feel on it, because since I'm not just cranking it and I'm pulling it a lot, that spinning rod will give you a lot better feel. So, and we've talked about this before. You guys know I fish my jerk baits on a spinning rod, and the spinning rod is an overlooked tool. It's a very versatile rod, and a lot of times it's the best piece of equipment for cranking. And this is the time of year that I will use that too. So anyway, guys, give it a try. Give the medium stop and go, pull, retrieve deal. Try this pre-spawn. It's a great way to catch quality bass, and I hope it works out for you guys. So we'll talk to y'all later. See you.